Hi everyone! Many of you have been growing and planting your garden with me all spring and summer long and are in full-on summer enjoyment and garden maintenance mode. Maybe you're even harvesting some vegetables. But what to do when things don't always go as planned? I mean, it happens. Bugs and pests come into the garden. Challenges in the garden do happen. Well, today I want to talk about an easy method of organic pest control so that when those challenges do happen, you're ready for them. One of the easiest things you can do to help prevent pests in your garden is just check your garden daily. You spend all this time planting and growing your garden. Head out to your garden, take a little walk, see if it needs water, make sure it's getting regular fertilizer so your plants are healthy, because healthy plants will attract less pests. And then inspect the leaves of your plants, the tops of the leaves, the bottoms of the leaves, to see if you see any pests. Well, that's exactly what I was doing yesterday, and I noticed some little green bugs on the zucchini plant behind me. So let's take a closer look. Well, good morning, Mac. He always loves it when I walk around the garden too. Well, the zucchini plant's been growing here in this garden bed. We planted it on the spring garden series. Some of you were along for that too. And it's looking really good. It's got some really nice flowers on it. These are male flowers. Don't have any female flowers yet on this plant, but hopefully they'll come along soon and we'll get some zucchini. So I was pulling back the leaves yesterday and I noticed these tiny little green bugs. See all those little green bugs crawling around? Those are aphids, teeny tiny, and they like to hide on the underside of your leaves. And it looks like right there I even have some kind of eggs for some type of other bug. So the first thing you want to do when you see bugs like this on your plant is simply spray off your plant with water. I realize I usually tell you guys not to water the leaves of your plants to help prevent disease, but in this case you kind of have to balance out the pros and the cons of getting the bugs off of your leaves and getting your leaves wet. So I like to spray it in the morning before the heat of the day, and that way the leaves have time to dry out. Aphids especially like to attack squash, cucumbers, and kale, and they love to hide under the leaves. So you want to give them a light little spray of water. Now you're not going to harm your plants by doing this. And you can see here I'm just rubbing the aphids off as I'm spraying. And you can do this with any bugs you see on your plants. A lot of times, once you knock the bugs off with water, they won't come back. But you do want to make sure you check your plant daily and then spray with water again if needed. Okay. So first line of defense. Walk around your garden, check your garden daily, and then spray any bugs off that you see with water. But I also do like to follow a general maintenance, pest maintenance schedule in the garden, because prevention is always the best cure. Stop the problem before it gets out of hand. And to do this, I use a combination of neem oil, peppermint oil, and rosemary oil. Now, these are all organic. And when you buy neem oil, make sure you grab neem oil that has the component azadirachtin, because that's a component of the neem tree that helps disrupt the life cycle of the chewing and sucking insects. So when you spray your plants with it, the bugs chew on it, ingest the neem oil, and their life cycle is disrupted. The peppermint and rosemary oil, not only do they have an absolutely wonderful smell, you're going to love spraying these in your garden because it's going to smell so good, but it masks the scent of your plants, which helps it make it more difficult for pests to find it. So let's mix them up and I'll show you how I spray it. Now I grabbed my neem oil from Gary over at The Rustic Garden at therusticgarden.com. A lot of you also watch his YouTube videos. And I'm going to mix them up just in this little half-gallon sprayer here. This is one of the hand pump sprayers. Really easy to carry around the garden and to apply to your plants. You can also use just a little hand sprayer like this. So I've already got some water in here. And you always want to test spray your plants and then wait 48 hours to see if there's any damage. Don't spray down an entire garden bed. Just spray one or two of the leaves and then check it. And if everything looks good, then you can spray again. So to this half gallon, I'm going to add a tablespoon of neem oil. So you just want to adjust the quantities for whatever size sprayer you're using. And I'm going to do a half teaspoon each of the peppermint and rosemary oil. I'm telling you guys, this smells absolutely amazing. Half teaspoon of peppermint, half teaspoon of rosemary. I actually just started using rosemary oil this year for the first time in my garden, just to give the plants a double dose with the rosemary and the peppermint. And then you also want to add some type of soap to your spray bottle just to help the oil disperse throughout the water. And here I'm using a natural soap. And I'm going to add a teaspoon to my spray bottle. And you want to add just enough so that the oil disperses throughout the water when you shake it. But remember, always do the test spray first, because different types of soaps have different potency and you don't want to damage your plants. If you do notice damage on your plants after 24 to 48 hours, just adjust the quantity of the oils and of the soap and then try a test spray again. Now you do want to spray your plants in the morning before the bee activity is heavy. Now neem oil does not harm the bees because the bees don't chew on the leaves of the plants, but you do want to be respectful of the bees and not spray them directly if you do see them, and try and avoid the flowers if you can. So I'm just spraying the tops of the leaves. You can see how it's dripping wet. And it's also important to spray the back of the leaves because that's a lot of times where the bugs like to hide. And to also spray the soil because the bugs most often will crawl up on the plants on the soil, and that way you take care of any bugs that are down there as well. Now for preventative maintenance, I spray my entire garden down with this combination every 1 to 2 weeks just to help keep the bugs under control. But if you do have an infestation, you want to spray more often, every 3 to 5 days, because that will help disrupt the life cycle of those chewing and sucking insects. And do this for a couple of weeks until you see the infestation go away. And then you can go back to the preventative every 1 to 2 weeks. Pests in the garden can be discouraging, but when you expect that challenges will happen and you have a few things in your tool belt to address them when they do come along, then hopefully you won't be so discouraged. Comment below, let me know what pests you're dealing with in your garden, what tips you have for dealing with them. I'd love to hear about it. And head over to my website, CaliKimGardenandHome.com. Check out my seed collections and my book, Organic Gardening for Everyone, which has a whole section on dealing with challenges in the garden. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.